Steps 1 through 60 in the abdominal series. So we want to straighten our client out a little bit. All right, and make sure we haven't pulled them off the mat. We're going to be lunging across our client. There's no reason to be on both of our knees and sitting that close. We want to take a conservative stance always. Abdominal massage isn't something that everybody is accustomed to or ready for. In this practice, we're just doing general techniques that lead to the idea of deeper work. It is very important, the abdomen, as it cleanses, detoxifies. It's also the central point of where everything in our body truly connects. So very important to take care of this area. But as new practitioners, new clients, a lot of times we opt for lightness or staying out of this area until we get more comfortable with it. So please try it amongst yourselves, however, trade so you know how it feels, because it does end up feeling good. So our step number 51 says finger press underneath the clavicles. We don't want to just come in and start dropping our hands in. We want to touch on their shoulders, let them know we're coming in, maybe give a couple palm presses across that tissue, and then having felt the tension, or if they're willing to accept that pressure, we can use our fingers to define underneath that clavicle. And it's just about 5 little circles from the outer edges to the middle sternum area and back. Pretty general, and they're pretty natural. Okay, that leads into finger circling the rib cage. So we want to bring the energy and the circulation of the body to the front. And we're holding on well enough that we're not tickling our clients, and we're trying to find spaces between the ribs. But as I do these little circles, I'm bringing them forward and around that rib cage to the front side. We're all trying not to laugh, you know, and that happens a lot. So one nice sweep. This is always a section you can come back to again. Thumb press and finger press the intercostal spaces. That means that we're coming up next to the sternum here. So if we are comfortable with our clients, our clients are comfortable with us, we can use our thumbs, and if we have the space, if the breast tissue isn't too much, we can come up to the sides of the sternum. The sternum, of course, attaching all the ribs in the front, is about an inch, inch and a half wide and comes all the way up. So whether we come in with fingers, thumbs, or palm circling or pressing on the sternum could be an alternate. So I'm going to place my hand on the sternum here. Right hand circles maybe to her left. And that gets the pec tissue on that side. If I change hands, I can go the other way. Granted, if you don't have the best rapport with the person, you discuss, maybe I can press on your sternum, or if things are sensitive, you can use a pillow as a protector. So whether it's a bolster, bolsters are nice because they're round, but I folded this pillow in half, and now I can circle in both ways. And it's a nice compressive hug, kind of like that last cross arm stretch I showed you. So there are all options. Not everything needs to be done every time, but it's possible. Another one is hands together like this, and the client could actually put their hand there as well, and we can press. So that all leads to palm circling the expanse of the abdomen, coming all the way down and around. So I'm coming all the way around from the ribs to the hip bone, below the navel, not onto the pubic bone, to the hip bone and back over to the ribs. So it's not just, you know, above the pant line, but we do have some abdomen below the pant line there, and it does come off the ribs and off the hip bones. So warming everything up. We're going to palm press on the abdomen, step number 56. We look at the belly with its 8 points in a circle. The right hip iliopsoas area, sorry, the ileocecal valve is down in there with the digestion. We follow the ascending, transverse, and descending colon to process everything out. So 1 is at the hip bone, 2 is at the side abdomen waist, obliques, 3 is at the ribs, 4 at the sternum. We want to be careful, xiphoid process, tiny little bone, no fast movements. People are afraid of breakage. So come down, but it's just the top. And then over to the ribs, another point, side waist, number 6, 7 at the hip, 8 would be then right down in the bottom. This is the colon and would be the exit. So I'm going to switch my stance so that I have this palm press available, heel of hand to fingertips. If your hand's too big, you might tuck your fingers into a tiger palm. So from that point 1, I kind of sink into the abdominal tissue through to the belly button. So number 2, side waist, sinking into the heel of my hand to my knuckles again. Finding that rib space, I come off the ribs down into the belly, across into the navel. It's number 4, careful about that xiphoid to the middle, switching my knees, and I'm finding number 5 at the ribs there, using my other hand to access. This is point 5 at the side waist, number 6, that was 6, that's 7 at the hip, and 8 coming straight up and through. So there's also, you can use your knuckles as well, coming through, whatever's comfortable. There's also 2 more pictures. So that was the large intestine. The smaller intestine kind of churns in this kind of way, coming up the abs and around the belly, up and around, up and around. And then there's also something called Nali Kriya, which would be pressing slowly from side to side. So any of these techniques could very well be opted for or out, depending. So to churn the belly, we want to lift up and come around. So whether or not that's maybe separate little fists, gently working our way around, kind of like kneading dough and churning a belly, or we use our hands to make that churn kind of happen. The Nali Kriya with the breath, taking a big deep breath, and exhale, we press down on one side. We allow the breath to inhale, fill up that other side, and then exhale, we'll sink and let go of the other hand. Not too much, we don't want to be pounding on our clients, but I'm just exaggerating the lift so that you can kind of see. You want to gently be pressing the abs alternately. That actually, of course, we're massaging the organs, and then slowly and gently pressing them from side to side in the body. Number 57 is thumb pressing around the navel. So we find the belly button, and those 8 points, we basically bring them down into a square instead of the expanded circle. So belly button, we've got 1 set of points on both sides of the belly button that we just kind of press into, feel the abs, if you feel the pulse, you just kind of back out. You've gone deep enough. 2s are right on top of and below the belly button. Same thing, just press enough to press in, feel, and come out. 3 and 3 are the bottom 2 corners. 4 and 4 would be the up 2 corners. So again, just enough to kind of feel the pulse and come on out. And so just a little bit of that Nali Kriya to move it around, maybe a circle. In the book, 58, it says finger press the psoas. So we're not massage therapists. This is for general practice. Massage therapist, you can add as you may, proper technique. But this is just headed towards the psoas. So on one side of the body, we take our fingers and we're going to come to the hip bone. And all we're going to do is just slowly do a little diving in motion, kind of pressing the tissues off the hip bone and away. So we want to find the hip bone, the abs, and kind of press into the abs and get them to soften away from the hip bone. So we're following the iliac crest around which ultimately will lead to the psoas. But this isn't psoas work like massage therapists know it to be done. So this is just, you know, an intro to heading there. So both sides. If the belly is super, super tight and you can't get around it, then maybe we have them bend their leg or legs, and from there, maybe the belly is a little softer for us, so we can find that hip bone and soften our way into the waist, getting the obliques up and away from the lower hip. Because everything really, our sitting and driving, pulls our hips and down, pulls the chest down, pulls at the neck. So the more that we can get those tissues up, the better up we can stand. So this leads us to our fancy number 59, our back lift, which, depending on size, you're going to have already determined whether or not you're going to try this fully with your client. The back lift can be as simple as coming in. I'm standing on top of my client. My hands are going to go behind her back and just lift the tissue. So just coming in, rocking my way into the low back, and not lifting her body up off the ground, just giving a lift. Because there is a much more advanced version of this pose where we go in, we connect our fingers, we actually lift this person up, and then settle back down onto our own legs, knees, forearms, so that we can try to support them up there into like a full back bend. Inhale, exhale, yep, and there's up. So I should have asked her to remove the pillow. I didn't know if I'd get her up. But then we're going to set them down. The last thing is shake the hips to relax and pressing them out, coming down to make sure that everything's in line and ready for our large yoga poses.